Right now in FPL, I feel like there are quite a lot of midfielders people like, especially because the forwards are not really standing out. And when I was looking at midfielders that people are looking to bring in or that people are talking about, a lot of them fall between the 6 to 7.5 million price bracket. So I thought, let's do another bracket competition. We've got 8 midfielders. They're going to be facing off and we can only crown one winner. But before we get started with this bracket video, I want to say a big thank you on the reception the last one got. A lot of the comments were quite positive, so thank you guys. But if you guys want more content like this, make sure you guys like the video and subscribe to the channel. But let's start with our first matchup. Gordon versus Minte to start things off. What a matchup. I felt like when we watched Minte last season, he was snatching his shots quite a lot in front of goal. The composure weren't really there. But I felt like over the summer, so far from what we've seen this season, Minte, Fabian Herzog, they've clearly worked on something. Because in front of goal, he's been a lot better. And Brighton's fixtures over the next 3 are quite nice. With Newcastle at home, very difficult. But after that, they're Manchester United away and Leeds at home. 2 favourable fixtures. But at the same time, can we really go against Anthony Gordon? We know Anthony Gordon is Newcastle's first choice penalty taker. Walter Samadi's second. He got the 2 penalties in the Champions League the other day, which Gordon took. And I feel like when you watch Gordon, we know he's going to be a threat. We know he can get shots up. Of course, you could argue in 2025, we might be on let's say a bit of a barren spell in terms of goals overall. But we know the ability Gordon can reach, and we know the ability that Newcastle front line can reach. Especially considering they haven't really clicked so far, with obviously Gordon's suspension hasn't helped things out. Alanga's been in and out the sides. But I feel like with this matchup, Anthony Gordon is clearly the more safer pick and the better option for FPL. Now, what a quarterfinal we have here. Enzo Fernandez versus Kudus, and I'll be honest, this is too hard to call. Let's have a look at the data to help. Now, even the data is finding a very hard time to separate these two. If we're looking at XG so far this season, Enzo Fernandez nearly double the XG that Kudus has had so far this year. Expected assist numbers, the Spurs man comes out on top. DEFCON, pretty much similar. Shot numbers, pretty much similar. But touches in the penalty area, again, the Spurs man does come out on top. But the reason why I would lean towards Enzo Fernandez for this competition and this bracket right here is I feel like Spurs are coming out of a good fixture run right now. Spurs' next 5 games are Aston Villa at home, Everton away, Chelsea at home, Manchester United at home, Arsenal away. I don't feel like those are favourable fixtures from, let's say, an attacking point of view. And I feel like some of those games, Spurs and Kudus could potentially struggle. Whereas with Enzo Fernandez, we know how good that Chelsea fixture run is. Nottingham Forest away. We know they've been appalling under Ange. Sunderland at home, Tottenham away, Wolves at home, Burnley. That is a nice set of fixtures. And with Cole Palmer out, Enzo Fernandez should be on penalties, which is why Enzo Fernandez will be going through to the next round. Now, when I said this bracket was hard, I meant it, because now we have a Rice versus Iliman Ndiaye matchup. This is very hard to call. Let's have a look at some of the data again. The numbers favour Iliman Ndiaye. Iliman Ndiaye's XG is high at 0.23 in comparison to 0.1 for Declan Rice. Expected assist numbers, Declan Rice comes out on top. DEFCON, surprisingly, you could argue, the Everton man is higher. Touches in the penalty area, like we would expect, the attackers' numbers are higher. But shots, Declan Rice's numbers are higher. But I know you are going to call me crazy. But I feel like we've underestimated, or let's say the FPL community have underestimated how good Declan Rice actually is from an FPL point of view. So far this season, he's got 1 goal and 3 assists. His returns have been 6 points in game week 1, 6 points in game week 2, 4 points in game week 3. Game week 4, he came on. He only got 22 minutes that game. Game week 5, 3 points. Game week 6, 9 points. Game week 7, 11 points. Declan Rice has actually been quite consistent in terms of his returns. And one thing we do know, Arsenal's fixtures over the next 5 are very, very nice. They have Burnley and Sunderland in that 5. And we know with Zubimendi in the side, Declan Rice is going to get that license to attack. And Declan Rice going forward, his numbers are actually very, very good. Last season, he got 11 goal contributions from an FPL point of view. The season before that, he got 7 goals and 9 assists. With Zubimendi to unlock him to play further forward, I'm actually going to back the Arsenal man. And you know what? A lot of people are probably not going to have Declan Rice. Because do I think he's the top 3 Arsenal assets to bring in? The answer to that question is no. But as a standalone asset, considering Everton have Manchester City next, or Tottenham after that, I'm actually going to give this round to Declan Rice. And I know that might be a controversial one. Now, I think this might be the easiest matchup so far in the quarterfinals. And that is Saar versus Xavi Simons. Saar will be going through to the next round. But let's talk on Xavi Simons quite quickly. I've actually been decently impressed with him so far in the Premier League. I feel like he's settling in very well. But reason why I would say avoid him for now for FPL is his minutes haven't been, let's say, the most secure. He's got 70 so far, 29, 77, 73 in his 4 games. That's why I would say you probably want to say, let's not bring him in just for now, considering the fact Tottenham have difficult fixtures. But he's definitely passing the eye test. Let's see if he becomes a good FPL asset in the future. But for now, Saar's in the semi-finals. Now, our first semi-final matchup. Anthony Gordon versus Enzo Fernandez. It's not easy, is it? Let's have a look at the data. Now, when we're looking at the data with Anthony Gordon, one thing I would say is the data sample size is not the biggest, so you could probably take the stats with a pinch of salt. But his numbers have been very, very impressive so far. He's averaging 3.4 shots per 90, 4.95 touches in the penalty area. I'll be very, very shocked if this, let's say, continues going forward. But so far this season, very, very impressive when he has played. But at the same time, and I think I mentioned this on a previous video, I'm not too sure how secure Anthony Gordon's minutes are. Do I expect him to start most games for Newcastle? The answer to that question is yes. But as I said before, I feel like Eddie Howe has learned quite a lot from his previous Champions League campaign with Newcastle. We're seeing a bit more rotation. We're seeing in the front line some more changes. We're seeing Gordon potentially get 70 minutes sometimes with Harvey Barnes coming on. Do I think that could be a continuous theme throughout the season? I'll be honest, I think the answer to that question is yes. Would Anthony Gordon get a couple 90 minutes here and there? Yes. But Harvey Barnes will get minutes. Harvey Barnes is still a quality player, which is why I will probably still say I lean towards Enzo Fernandez as a better pick. Enzo Fernandez, we know how much Enzo Maresca loves him. I feel like I saw a stat last year where Enzo Fernandez had run the most out of any single Chelsea player. His minutes look incredible, no matter what, he's always on the football pitch, which is why I'm going to give this round to Enzo Fernandez. But I know some of you lot might disagree in the comments, so let me know down below. Declan Rice versus Saar. I feel like this is another very, very difficult semi-final. And like I said on the previous video, I feel like anyone in this semi-final stage, they're all brilliant candidates to bring in. But for this one, I feel like I'm going to lean towards Saar. The reason I say that is, of course we know Declan Rice and Arsenal's fixtures over the next 5 or 6 are brilliant. Saar's fixtures are not too bad. Next game, they have Bournemouth at home. Could Saar score? The answer to that question is yes. But you can say Bournemouth are a very good side. After that, they have Arsenal, a very good side again defensively. After that, Crystal Palace play Brentford at home, Brighton at home, Wolves away. And we know how good Crystal Palace have been so far this season. They've had the highest XG created out of any side. Saar's XG numbers are incredible. He could easily score in the next 5 games, 3 goals, and no one is shocked. And you know how Crystal Palace are. He's almost like the main talisman in the front line now, because Pino's settling in nicely, but listen, he's still adjusting to a new league. Mateta probably still hasn't hit the heights that we know he can hit. Saar's been that one consistent where he's reached that level, which is why I'm going to go with the Crystal Palace, man. Saar is in the final, and what a final we have. This, you know what? I could flip a coin. That's how hard it is to call. Enzo Fernandez versus Saar. Let's have a look at the data, because we're going to need something to decide these two. Now, even the data is struggling to decide this one. Enzo Fernandez's XG is 0.35. Saar 0.46, which is extremely high. But it's also important to remember, Saar did miss 2 games with injury so far this year, the Sunderland and West Ham games. So you could argue his data is probably not the most reliable. Expected assist numbers are pretty much similar. Def punt numbers don't really matter because they're not really close to that 10 to 12 average. Touches in the penalty area, Saar comes out on top. Shots, Enzo Fernandez comes out on top. But I feel like this is very still hard to decide. And I feel like if you put a gun to my head, who would I go with? And you know what? I think I would still lean with the Chelsea man in Enzo Fernandez. And the reason is, with Saar, I feel like Saar, you could argue, is a bit more explosive in terms of he'll get the goals on a more regular basis. But one thing I'm still slightly unsure on is Crystal Palace. And Crystal Palace have been phenomenal so far this year, or let's say over 2025. But this is Crystal Palace's first time in Europe. This is Saar's first time with Palace playing midweek games and then playing that Sunday game. Thursday, Sunday football, we know, has caused teams quite a lot of problems in the past. And Crystal Palace don't have the biggest of squads. Could maybe Sar's minutes might still be good, but how is that Crystal Palace team going to be? Could they be slightly more lethargic on that Sunday on the Premier League? I think the answer to that question is potentially yes. And we know Sar, he's playing in the forward areas. The supply line is obviously a massive point for forwards. Could that supply line be slightly weaker? The answer to that question in my eyes is yes. I feel like with Enzo, we know Chelsea, we know Enzo, they're used to the midweek games, they're used to playing on the weekends. I feel a bit more confident regarding that situation, which is why I'm going to give it to the Chelsea man. Enzo Fernandez is our winner. Enzo Fernandez takes the crown. He is the best midfielder to buy in FPL right now, according to me. That might be different for you. That might be different to your friends. So let me know down below in the comments who you think the best midfielder to bring in is between the 6 and 7.5 million price bracket. But make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel, and we will be back soon.